is Mark Gunn Media.
Hit it!
Welcome to Gunshots Straight from the Hip. I'm your host, Mark Gunn. The views expressed on this program are those of the host and guests and not necessarily reflective of anyone or any entity associated with this broadcast. This episode brought to you by Before Your First Gig, an audiobook written by Steve Dustcircle and produced by Mark Gunn Media. If you're a beginning musician, this is a primer that you'll definitely want to hear. Tips and strategies for setting yourself up for live performances and paid gigs. Before Your First Gig by Steve Dustcircle. Available now on iTunes, Audible.com, and Amazon. Before Your First Gig by Steve Dustcircle. Produced by Mark Gunn Media. All right, very special episode of Gunshots Straight from the Hip. We are kicking it during Derby weekend here at one of Louisville's premier eateries. It is called Flavor. And speaking of flavor, if you are like me, there's nothing like a fine cigar and a fine bourbon. And those that know me know that I'm very particular when it comes to my cigars. In fact, I was spoiled rotten because the first experience I had with a cigar was Cubans. And so ever since then, that's pretty much all I've ever smoked. But all of a sudden, I hear tell of this young man who has ties to Louisville, who is a history-making entrepreneur, Olympic athlete, and he is bringing his brand, a very special brand, here to Louisville. I'm going to introduce you to it on the website as well. The brand is called Aries. It is a line of men's grooming products and a line of cigars, and I am here with the CEO, the creator, the founder, Olympic high jumper, Michael Edwards. Welcome back to the Ville, man.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate that introduction.
Oh, no, my pleasure, my pleasure. Again, man, cigars are a passion of mine, and it is always great to see somebody from here doing something this huge. Now, for those that don't know, Mike is the first black man to own and run a cigar line in England.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
So a little background about myself.
Yes.
I am British born in Manchester, United Kingdom, and raised across the U.S. I say across the U.S. because I had a stint in Florida.
Right.
And I did travel to a couple of universities. Started out at the University of Alabama.
Right.
I was Roll Tide. I was a track athlete there.
Okay. Before
transferring to University of Louisville, and competing here for 2 years. I won a Big East championship here.
Right.
And since then, I've gone on to represent Great Britain back in the United Kingdom. I've been training for the Olympic Games, and most recently I competed at the British Championships in 2018 and won the title. So I am I am formerly a British high jumper and now represent Nigeria.
Oh, okay.
As you can see from the left,
right.
I have a line of cigars, and all of them have a background or a little story behind it. But first, I'll kick off with one of the reasons why I'm here. So, as you can imagine, it's been quite an interesting journey.
Yes, to say the least.
I started the cigars a few years back now, and had a lot of success with the Black Label, which was the introduction to this cigar line, and which established me as Britain's first black-owned cigar maker and owner and line ever. And so since then, it's literally just gone from strength to strength. I actually created my first cigar here in Louisville.
Oh,
believe it or not, yes. I was self-taught and guided from a lot of the cigar family-owned businesses out of Miami, Florida, and New York.
I was going to say, man, if you learn how to roll cigars by watching YouTube, I'm leaving right now. Because you mentioned Miami because we talked before, and hand rolling is such a tradition there,
Absolutely.
Especially with it being so close to Cuba.
Absolutely, a lot of those guys, are Cuban rollers, family operated businesses, third generation, and they've been nothing but great counselors for me, and giving me a lot to kind of build my foundation from, because it's great that I learned how to the art of cigar making,
right.
which was quite quite dear to my heart because I'm very much, old school. I love craftsmanship. I love figuring things out and, taking time to break down, a delicate form of what like a cigar is,
Right.
the construction, the taste, the profile. I blended each and every cigar, so all that was great for me to understand and be able to, be transparent with that and allow people to understand. Because a part of, the cigar experience is it's learning.
Yeah.
It's not just about you enjoying. It's about encouraging others to also take part in, which is let's be honest, it's luxury.
Yes,
It's
indeed, indeed.
it's one of the the fine things that you can if you have time to smoke a cigar for 2 hours, you're very privileged.
Yep.
So
And it's usually going to be a very good cigar.
Absolutely, absolutely. So all those things, again, the Black Label, it's only just gone and expanded, and from the success of the Black Label, I launched a second blend, which is my African roots. So as I mentioned, I'm Nigerian and Jamaican. So I wanted to tie that in with my brand and also give out another blend, which had ties to my heritage. With creating the African roots, it was a way of me paying homage. And there's a lot of cigars out there in the world, and a lot of the premium cigars in the world, which they use the Cameroon wrapper leaf. And I wanted to not just use it, but I wanted to highlight it. So if you look on the wrapper, you will see the Cameroon flag, and it's gold wrapper, and it's just a way of putting something out there on the market. I feel like I'm in a position as the first black owned, and I want to make sure I'm leaving a great line and foundation for those who may be looking or aspiring to walk in my footsteps. So it's just a very proud cigar, and again it's a step up from the Black Label. It's a medium full, and it's got great flavor. It's got an easy burn and a lot of spicy notes to it. So I usually would pair that one with more of a champagne or wine or
Right,
rosé.
right.
Just again, just something that would help them to bring out the profile of the.
Now I know we're
cigar.
talking a lot of inside baseball stuff as far as
Absolutely.
as far as being someone who is into cigars. So I know pretty much
Right.
everything that you're talking about. But for the average person who maybe will smoke a cigar during Derby weekend,
Yes.
maybe they're just getting into it. One thing that I found very interesting. And this is something we talked about before, was the fact that you do use the Cameroon leaf.
Yes.
Compare that to, say, the traditional Cuban rolled, or maybe even a Dominican, or maybe something that's done here in the States.
The Cameroon wrapper is very delicate. It's one of the most rare leaves to find, and it's difficult. As you're aware, I mentioned that I've had experience with rolling these cigars.
Right.
So understanding and studying the leaf, it's one of those people don't have the patience to want to roll the Cameroon wrapper because it tends to fall apart or brittle, because again it's raised in different climate, the soil, everything goes into the production and again the sturdiness of the leaf.
Right.
And again it's the profile of the leaf, they have many blotches of, if you would look clearly, if you look, take a chance to look clearly, they almost have spots on them, and the
Right.
spots are basically packed with, you name it, loads of flavor, and those spots, they just burst, when you actually get the chance to smoke the cigar, and it gives again a unique taste or unique profile, because again every leaf that you have is going to be unique. None of them are going to be the same. They're all going to be raised different. They're all going to have I would say different shades to them.
Right,
so
right.
that just again, it just creates more of, people want what they can't have. It's very exclusive.
Right.
Outside of the Cubans, which, everyone is very, very familiar with, thinking that, I like to compare Cubans as a Mercedes,
Okay.
It's a luxury, it's hailed highly, but not every Mercedes is a great car, It is what it is, but the reputation allows, the Cubans or the Mercedes to get away with a lot of, what most people would say the greatest cigars on the world, and I feel like that there's a misperception in that, and I think with the Cameroon, they are very much as top of the chain as anyone. They deserve it, their recognition as well, and that's part of why I put it out on the line.
All right, once again, we're talking with Mike Edwards, who is the owner and operator of Aries. Not only is this a cigar line, it is also a men's grooming line.
Absolutely.
Mike has the distinction of being the first black man in England to own and run a cigar manufacturing company, and he's bringing the wares here to States. Now, I know you've got a huge following, and you're developing the brand here in the States, correct?
Absolutely, yes. I've recently had more traction than the other two. Is from, as you're familiar, I'm a British champion, professional athlete, and by doing that, I caught quite a lot of slack from my most recent cigar, which is the Victory cigar. If you have been following closely, you'll be familiar with, I won the British Championship, went onto the podium with my cigar.
With your cigar, yeah, right.
And I also held up a bottle of champagne.
Right.
Now, to me, that was a normal act for me, because it was something that I've been building up to for a while. I knew that it was a call for a celebration. I've been nurturing my cigar brand for years now, and I felt like there was the chance to almost reveal that to the world.
Right.
A lot of sweat equity goes into my brand and developing my brand and awareness, and I felt that it was imperative for me to go out there and to show the world where I've been working hand in hand with both of these, whether I'm an athlete or not. At the end of the day, I'm a law-abiding citizen.
Right,
I work my tail off to be in the position I am today. So for me, I wanted to capture that moment and tie that in with my brand and design an entire cigar range based off of that. And if you had the chance, you would see.
Right. And we're looking at the.
This is me on the podium with the cigar,
right, and the champagne in your hand,
and the champagne, and I titled it the Victory Cigar. So the box has just been released last week at the NFL Draft. So this is actually one of the most rarest cigar boxes out here in the world, because only people that can get it is if you're here at a meet and greet or if you was at the NFL Draft. So again, the aim of this is I only want to showcase these things where at occasions where they matter and where they're meant to be represented, and NFL Draft, Kentucky Derby, those are the things that I like to associate my brand with.
Right.
So again, this is a tremendous journey that I've been fortunate enough to travel on, and with the support from the community and my ambassadors, it's just been a wonderful experience.
All right, well, let's talk about where people can find out more about not only the cigar line but the men's grooming line that we'll talk about in just a moment.
Yeah, so you're very easy to find on any social media platform. If you type in Aries, that is spelled AIREYYS, or you can probably Google search anything with the name First Black Owned Cigar Line, or the Victory Cigar, or Mike Edwards, CEO of Aries. Any of those will direct you straight to me, or if you just want to go and shop on the store, it will be Aries.com. So that's AIREYYS.com.
All right, coming up in just a minute, we're going to get into the origin of the name, and we'll talk about the men's grooming line. If you are somebody who has a beard and loves taking care of it, we definitely have something for you to learn more about it. All right, it's Gunshot Straight from the Hip. More right after this.
This is Mark Gunn Media.
Hit it!
Hi, this is Mark Gunn, owner and president of Mark Gunn Media, Inc., and host of our podcast,
Gunshots Straight from the Hip. We tackle news, politics, and popular culture from this black man's perspective. But we're not just for black audiences. We talk about things in a way that's honest, without compromise, and in a way that you won't hear on any other podcast. To that end, we're going to be extending Women's History Month by presenting a series of episodes spotlighting some of Louisville's most dynamic women of color. Black Women Badassery will introduce you to a few sisters traveling off the beaten path, doing things in their own special way. Some you may know, others you won't, but will want to get to know after hearing about them. Here's your chance to help produce these episodes. We're looking for uncommon sisters doing uncommon things that are making an impact on all of us. If you know someone that fits that description, tell us about her by logging onto our website at markgunmedia.com and hitting the podcast link. While you're there, check out past episodes of Gunshots Straight from the Hip and subscribe. Leave your comments as well, because we could share them on future episodes. Log on to markgunmedia.com and hit the podcast link. You'll also find us on iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn, and Google Podcasts. Black Women Badassery, a special series presented by Mark Gun Media.
Mark Gun Media. No hype, no hoopla, just damn good work.
For downloads of this and past episodes and information about all the multimedia services we offer, log on to our website at www.markgunmedia.com. That's markgunmedia.com. Welcome back to Gunshots Straight from the Hip. Mark Gun. We are celebrating Derby weekend here at one of Louisville's finest restaurants. It is called Flavor, and we have been talking about the flavor of the, I'm not even going to say the future of cigar smoking, but the next level of cigar smoking. We're talking with Mike Edwards, who is the owner and CEO of Aries. It is a very exclusive line of cigars. Mike is the first black man to own and run a cigar company out of London and making noise here in the States. You were just talking about being at the NFL draft. You're here for Kentucky Derby. We talked about the cigar line, but you got started not necessarily out of a passion, but out of practicality, because you were trying to get money in order to be able to continue to train. Is Absolutely. That where the beard oil and everything came from?
Yeah, so originally I started the brand as almost more of a, something that, I wouldn't say it was a hobby, but it was just something I was passionate about. Mm-hmm. I was growing my beard. I wanted to create my own signature blend of beard oil, mm-hmm. and I was very fortunate that I had a strong beard enough that way
that you could test it.
I could demonstrate the possibilities of grooming and what it would do for men in particular. So I just wanted to create something where a gentleman could go to find like their manly goods or the manly needs, just kind of like a one-stop, and like a lot of sartorial males are taking care of their appearance nowadays, and it was just a natural progression. Once I had the men's beard oil going and running, I had a lot of interest with the male community, mm-hmm. and I wanted to just kind of introduce something that I thought that would be appreciative and appreciated, and to my surprise, it was, and just being able to one thing I do is I'm able to be completely open,
right.
straightforward with my community and my supporters, and this is I'm hardworking, humble gentleman, and this is something that I'm passionate about. If you would like to try this out, tell me what it's like, and more or less I've built my brand, mm-hmm. Off the off my community, who the people that are wanting to try and experience something that was handcrafted, not mass produced, not something that somebody else is promoting, but from the man himself. Most everything on my website is handmade, and if I haven't put in there sweat equity myself, I haven't put it out there. So that's a lot of what I brand myself. I'm very passionate passionate about, all everything I put out because, again, it's my reputation that I put on the line as, not just an athlete, but, as a businessman. I think it's very important that, you look at the ethos behind a brand, you know what it is that they do. Like when I was rolling the cigars, I understood there was a lot of water that was wasted from making the cigars. So I partnered with Charity Water, and we provided clean water, drinking water to family-owned in developing nations for an entire year. And that was just off the basis of being able to know how much water was used and what clean water was used, not just any tap water, but it was purified water that could not be in any other water couldn't be used, or it would grow mold on the cigars. And, again, the ethos behind the brand, I'm very aware and I'm very hands-on. And, with that, I was able to scale and know where there was a need, so to speak. So that's generally the growth is just being not trying to reinvent the wheel. It's just been a case of identifying something that has been miscalculated or misjudged, and underestimated. And part of why the dark horse, and the horse symbol that you see is recognized on the brand is because I'm very aware that the dark horse is not always recognized, but eventually would win. And again, that's where we are. It's not for the here today, gone tomorrow. I'm in this for the long run. I plan to build off of this and be able to have something where people are familiar with the brand years to come. And I think that's what it is. It's just being able to take the time on your journey, and to focus more on the detail, and the construction, the foundation, and then go from there. Because again, there's nothing that's built overnight. They say it takes 3 years to create an overnight success. Right. And I learned that just through the sports and entrepreneurship. There's no quick pill or short workout. It is again, it's the slug work, the long nights, and and the hard work.
And the hustle definitely pays off. And it's always been my belief that if you the best corporate partners are the ones that always find a way to give back. And the resources that you're doing with the water, perfect for that. Now, one of the things that we were talking about earlier, because I know this whole discussion seems to be very male-centric, right? But we were talking about the growing population of women that are actually getting into cigars.
Absolutely.
And how your line seems to hit a sweet spot with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the perception is that cigars are a man's world, and I believe that's completely false. There is a strong community of ladies that are taking part in the cigars, enjoyment. And I wouldn't say it's brand new. I think for many years it's been probably something enjoyed in the comforts of their own. It's just so again, probably any confusion or whatnot. But I really do believe that part of the reason why, as males, we gravitate towards cigars is because there's a lot of feminine energy connected towards it.
Can you explain that? Because I found what we were talking about very fascinating in the way that you broke that down.
Yeah, with feminine energy, what it is, I feel like males, we get so driven on our goals or get so driven on our purpose that a lot of times we don't take the time to sit back and reflect. And I feel like with cigars, and the whole experience where you break it down, you take time to unwind, kick back, unravel, cut and light, those type of things paired with a whiskey, the glass, the aesthetics, all that is pleasing and something that, us as males, we enjoy because, a lot of that is the feminine energy, and I think that is, a great pairing with, it just kind of offsets that kind of, whether it be frustration or anxiety or, just tension. I think that, with a cigar, we now have something where, we can, enjoy, in the comforts or the sweet spots of our day-to-day rituals.
Yeah, like me, for instance, I'll cut my grass.
Yeah. Therapeutic,
I'll
right?
celebrate with a cigar because I'm like, this looks really good. Let me light one up.
There you go.
And so I get it. I definitely get it. So this is not a man's world when it comes to.
It's not.
And then we talked about pairings and the. As I was reading just yesterday, how some blends pair with say you got beers. Say for instance, you've got a blend that will pair with a lager. Or a light beer.
Yes.
And I never thought about that because I've always thought about, okay, how about bourbons or, or whiskeys or that type of thing, but never thought about pairing a cigar with a beer.
Right. I think that boils down to, just general, taste palettes and what you're comfortable with. There is no one-stop shop. You just learn and you keep developing and you start, experimenting and finding new sweet spots, I guess.
Right,
with a lot of what I pair the cigars with would be bourbon or Scotch. And that's just what I'm familiar with and what I've had the experience with. So I know kind of which ones work. That's why I mentioned with the African roots, it's more of a complex cigar. Again, with being the Cameroon wrapper, it's very delicate, and I think pairing that with a lighter, whether it be a champagne or wines, it just works. And and like for my Victory cigar goes great with a mocha latte. It's just that full taste.
That concept I do. I definitely get that. Nothing like a good cup of coffee and a good cigar.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
So once again, we are talking with Mike Edwards, who is the owner and CEO and history-making first black owner of a cigar manufacturer in England. The name of the company is Aries, and I meant to ask you about that.
Yeah.
Where did the name come from?
Honestly, that was a name that it just came to me. I'm very in tune with myself and what comes to me, whether it be through meditation or just kind of one of those, an experience where you can't kind of put your thumb on it. And Aries was one of those overnight, and I've stuck with it since. And it's very unique. There's no one else that has anything close to it. So it sounds the same, but it's completely different spelling.
Right.
I'm fortunate that it's been able to be recognized globally.
And once again, if you want to learn more about Mike, you want to learn more about his brand, go to Aries.com. Look him up at all sorts of social media. There are very interesting articles that were published overseas about your life in this field, in addition to your athletic endeavors. And so you're here in town for Derby, being hosted by the folks at Local Choice. It's one of the local distributors here.
Yep.
And so some folks will have a chance, if they're here tonight, to check out some of the wares that you have here. And again, go online, because I'm telling you, this has been a real pleasure for me, because I'm as passionate about cigars as the next man. And anytime I can discover something new that I think I'm really going to get into, that's what I'm going to do. Coming up in just a few minutes, speaking of which, what I'm getting into this week. Gunshot straight from the hip.
This is Mark Gunn Media.
Hit it!
Hi, this is Mark Gunn, owner and president of Mark Gunn Media, Inc., and host of our podcast, Gunshots Straight from the Hip. We tackle news, politics, and popular culture from this black man's perspective. But we're not just for black audiences. We talk about things in a way that's honest, without compromise, and in a way that you won't hear on any other podcast. To that end, we're going to be extending Women's History Month by presenting a series of episodes spotlighting some of Louisville's most dynamic women of color. Black Women Badassery will introduce you to a few sisters traveling off the beaten path, doing things in their own special way. Some you may know, others you won't, but will want to get to know after hearing about them. If you're a business owner, this would be a great series to be a part of. We're looking for advertisers for a media platform that's growing by leaps and bounds. Competitive pricing compared to traditional media, and a chance to have your message heard by loads of potential new customers. Just log on to markgunmedia.com and hit the podcast link, or call us at 502-407-0283 for more information. That's 502-407-0283. While you're there, check out past episodes of Gunshot Straight from the Hip and subscribe. Leave your comments as well, because we could share them on future episodes. Log on to markgunmedia.com and hit the podcast link. You'll also find us on iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn, and Google Podcasts. Black Women Badassery, a special series presented by Mark Gun Media.
Mark Gun Media. No hype, no hoopla, just damn good work.
Welcome back to Gunshot Straight from the Hip, the Derby Weekend Edition. Once again, thanks to Mike Edwards, the owner and president of Aries Cigars and Men's Grooming Apparel. All you have to do is go to his website, aries.com, if you want to check out the line of cigars that he has and all of the other products, okay? Once again, he is the very first black man to own and run a cigar company straight out of England, and he's in town this weekend to show you what he's got, all right? And this is the portion of the podcast where we talk about our gunshots, sights, and sounds, some of the things that I'm watching and listening to this week. And you know, the only thing that I've had my eye on entertainment-wise on Netflix, Beyonce's Homecoming, the documentary that Baby Girl was paid some $60 million for. She's got the rights for that, and there's an accompanying live album that she dropped as a surprise on everybody as well. And I'm telling you, if you have seen Beyonce over the years with a lot of the stuff that she's done, that Lemonade video, her Super Bowl performance from a few years ago that pissed off so many people because of her homage, her paying tribute to the Black Panthers and the Black Lives Matter movement, this performance, the first black woman to ever headline Coachella. As a matter of fact, DJ Khaled says, no, from now on it's called Baychella. And if you watch this documentary, you see why. So what it is it highlights her weekend of performances with a marching band. This pays tribute to HBCUs, well over 100 people on stage alone. And it also talks about her journey to getting back into performance shape after having her twins, a lot of the hardships that she went through going through the pregnancy. So it's a very poignant and very spectacular look. It's a celebration of black culture, of black music, and let's be real, a celebration of Beyonce, who, bar none, is probably one of the most dynamic entertainers that we have today. The performances, absolutely incredible. You don't see somebody who's able to sing and dance at a high level like she does. The overall spectacle, and that's exactly what it is. It's overwhelming, and I found myself smiling the whole time that I was watching. So if you get a chance, you definitely want to check out Beyonce's Homecoming. It's on Netflix right now, okay? Something else you got to check out, the Homecoming live album. Like I said, this was a surprise that she dropped in conjunction with the documentary. Basically, if you listen to it, there's a little nuance that you hear because you're not distracted by the overall visual. And as a music producer, it is so difficult to produce live music, especially at the scope that she's been able to do it. Again, with a live marching band, hundreds of people being a part of the performance. So the quality of the sound is absolutely incredible. And check this out. There's a bonus track. There's actually a couple of bonus tracks. She did her version of Before I Let Go. That's right, the one by Frankie Beverly and Maze. Oh, man, you have to check this album out for that version alone. As a matter of fact, it's gotten the seal of approval from Frankie Beverly himself. He said the first time he heard it, it was actually a surprise because he didn't know that she was going to do it until after it was done, and he was absolutely blown away. So was I. And I'm a purist when it comes to things. I don't really like remakes a whole lot, but Bay did the damn thing on this, okay? So that's what I'm checking out this week. Gunshots, straight from the hip, sights and sounds. Beyonce Homecoming, the documentary on Netflix. Doesn't even feel like a documentary. Just check it out and you'll see what I'm talking about. And of course, the live album, Homecoming, available at all music platforms. So you got to check that out, okay? And make sure you check us out as we continue to give you more episodes of Gunshots Straight from the Hip. If you can't change the people around you, change the people around you.
You've been listening to Gunshots Straight from the Hip. The views expressed are those of the host and guests and not reflective of any business entity or anyone associated with this broadcast. If you have any comments or want more information on how to be a sponsor, log on to our website at markgunmedia.com or call us at 502-407-0283. That's 502-407-0283. Thank you for listening.
Mark Gun Media. No hype, no hoopla, just damn good work.